to Stories of Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw. That would be your Chickasha native, your Chickasha Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And we have got a star from Puerto Rico. We have got a star from the Northwest. We have got just a flat out star. He is the Cuban Assassin,
Yes,
Mr. David
sir.
Sierra. David, welcome to the show.
Oh, it's great to be on here, man. And great to, heck, I've been waiting for this for like 20 years now to get on this show.
Yeah, man, 20 years, man. I tried to get you on earlier, but you had one of those luxury cruises to Alaska coming up, and you couldn't make it. So we allowed you to take that luxury cruise. I think it was a 45-day cruise around Alaska or something like that. Did you see those whales like JBL jumping in the water out there?
No, I seen a few of them. Yeah, JBL wells, and you know.
What did you see? What did you see? Why'd you go to Alaska? What did you go to Alaska to see?
I seen a little bit of everything. That was my second cruise there. I was just enjoying everything.
Did you see the Aurora Borealis?
No.
You sure?
I thought you saw everything.
You saw everything.
Listen.
Okay, I'm listening.
Okay, you know that I started in Dallas in 1978, Daryl?
No, I thought you started in Florida.
No, I worked outlaw in Florida, and Eddie Graham wanted to kill me for that. But anyway, then I went to Dallas in 1978. I asked Bill Watts how to get to Dallas.
You take Interstate 10.
No, Bill Watts, you know, back then you didn't have the USE, all that on your phone. So he said, no, he said, Sierra, you go north till you smell it and west till you step in it, then you're in Texas.
That's a Bill Watts answer for sure.
Actually, there are signs, David, all over Oklahoma, God's country, and it just points that direction.
Yeah. What direction?
South.
David
started in Dallas in 78, and I loved it. It was great. You know, old sportatorium there, man, with them cement posts. And
speaking of a long trip, man, you had a very long trip in the beginning of your life, and I'm sure you don't remember it, but your family migrated. That's a polite word to say, escaping Cuba when you were like 1 or 2 years old, or sometime around that area. Tell us about that.
Yes, sir. And yeah, they left. Well, basically, here's the true story is like this. Let's make this the truth, okay?
We don't have to.
We only speak the truth on this podcast.
Okay, then all right. Yeah. So then I swam here. Now, you know,
did you have the little water wings on when you were swimming?
I was like 2 years old when my parents got here in Tampa, Florida, and they escaped before, you know, all the craziness there, you know, but I've been to Cuba like 3 times while they were still allowing you to go there. And I thought it was great. And it was sad, some sad parts, but some beautiful parts. And, you know.
What part of Cuba was your family from, David?
Right by Havana.
Right by Havana.
Yeah, right.
How did they get over here? How'd they escape?
Airplane.
Wow. I thought it was going to be a great story. We took a rowboat. We had a rowboat all over the country, but
that's
you took a damn airplane.
How did you
You took Eastern Airlines.
That's why I stick to the one I swam 90 miles with 2 friends, and then the one friend, you know, he started feeling light. Shark ate half his body, and so I had to let him go. And then the other one, then I swam it the rest by myself and got to the sand.
That's a heck of a lot better story than taking Eastern Airlines.
So the flight that came over, were they escaping? Was it legal? Was it a stolen?
It was before. Yeah, it was before it was illegal. It was like a sort of like, it was like they came here and we never went back.
So you came over like on a visa and just stayed?
Yeah, to visit, and you know, because my grandmother, grandfather were born there, but they were living here, and yeah, basically.
And then they came over to Tampa. You had relatives in Tampa, or you just wanted to be near
I had my
Mr.
grandmother and grandfather in Tampa. Then my dad was from Spain. God bless them and my mom. But and he built a nice house there in West Tampa, and I grew up there, and it was
What was your dad a contractor or something, a businessman
no,
like that?
him and some buddies, man. You know, it wasn't back then. You had to have a permit to do this. They built a nice little block house, and it was great. And I was like 5 miles from the Fort Homer Hesley Armory, and
Walking distance.
5.5 miles from the Sportatorium. Me and Fonzie skip school every Wednesday to go to.
Okay, Fonzie, enlighten the people who the hell Fonzie is.
Bill
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, Daddy.
Who's Fonzie?
Bill Alfonso.
Bill Alfonso. Now, Billy's your cousin, right?
No, everybody thinks that Fonzie's my 100% brother.
Well, I don't think that. I think he's your cousin.
Yeah, but that's how he went with me to Dallas, and then he got booked. I went to Amarillo for a shop. Gary Hart sent me to Amarillo, and Fonzie went with me. Man, what a drive that was! I forget where we drove. We ended up in Amarillo, and they needed a referee. I think it was Terry Funk against the original Sheik, Eddie Farhat. And Fonzie, I said, well, Fonzie's refereed a couple of matches, and he did, and then this outlaw wrestling I was talking about. So Fonzie.
Okay, back up a little bit. You got us already in Texas. We don't want to hear about Texas right now. We want to hear about Florida, the greater state of Florida.
We don't mind hearing about God bless Texas.
So anyway, you grew up 5 miles from the Armory, 5.5 miles from the Sportatorium.
Yes, sir.
That's a Tampa Sportatorium, not the world famous Dallas.
No, that's the Tampa Sportatorium.
Yeah. So what you and Fonzie were are you related? Let's get this rumor out of the way right from the beginning.
We're like brothers because we grew up together from the time he was traveling with us, but we're not related at all. We're just best friends. But the only way, you know how hard it was to get into business back then. So that's how I got him into the business of saying he was my brother. And
okay. Okay, you're in Florida. Your family came up on the Eastern Airlines. It's such a great story saying that you guys had to swim or something, like took a raft or a canoe or something. But now you took Eastern Airlines. So you got here, and your dad built a house over in West Tampa. And so you had television, obviously. So you started watching Florida Championship Wrestling with Eddie Graham Promotions there, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm telling your story now. You tell the damn story. I'm not.
I'm telling you. Then I got the rest, and I watched. It was like going to college watching wrestling back then as a kid, you know. And I got to see, God bless your brother Jack, and all these great matches. You have
a story about Jack and your match one time, right?
I got a story about you and Jack in my match.
Oh,
so okay, we're gonna jump that far, okay?
No, we're still learning. So you're watching TV, you're seeing all these great wrestlers in Florida Championship Wrestling.
Yeah, and I loved it, and I would go to every week to the Armory, and we'd go to the TV, and it was the 9th grade, and my 9th grade coach said to me, I told him I was going to be a wrestler because I loved it. I was watching it every week and all that. And he goes, "You're never going to amount to nothing."
Wow.
So I'm not trying to jump ahead of time, but I got to go back when I did get into business and go to this coach and tell him, "Well, I made this much last year. How much did you make?" Because I made it in pro wrestling, you know, and not that I made it as a main event or whatever. I made it, you know.
Yeah.
And it was pretty bad that you try to tell me that I would never amount to nothing.
What'd he say?
Though I was a hoodlum.
So what'd he say?
He basically looked at me. I'm glad you made it. And that's why he said it. I was trying to give you that push. And I was thinking, I said, man, is he bullshitting me? Because he didn't like me for some reason.
So then, when did you decide you wanted to go to school? You ended up trained by Hiro Matsuda, right?
Yeah, I ended up wrestling outlaw for a few years.
Before you got trained by Matsuda?
Yeah. And
Well, who trained you?
basically nobody, Jerry. I watched it on TV.
So you just told me business was hard to get into. So what is it? You just walk down and jump in the ring and said, I'm a wrestler or what?
No. What I did is I watched this.
Do you see where this is going, John, when you get
this is going all different. All right. So I would see this judo and teaching a guy in my not in my backyard, neighbor's yard. And it would look like hip tosses. So I took a few hip tosses from him. Then I went to this outlaw wrestling on Friday nights. I'd get paid $20. I thought it was wow, I just made $20 in 5 minutes or 8 minutes or 10 minutes. But it was like, I don't know how. I just threw a good punch. I gave a good forearm. Nobody taught me that until it was time in 1970.
I bet you were a stiff little Cuban.
Huh?
I bet you were a stiff little Cuban.
Not as stiff as you Briscoes. Anyway.
Why's he got to be a stiff little Cuban?
Yeah,
well, because he didn't know nothing, John.
Yeah.
Like you were a stiff little Texan too.
Yeah.
Or
Texan. It's Texan. There ain't no Texan. It ain't Texas.
Well, I know the asses left Texas and went to Maryland.
Yeah.
But
so how'd you get hooked up with Hero?
What I got hooked up with Hero was I went to Oregon, and then Eddie Grant accepted me. You know what I mean? Because I went to Oregon, made a little bit of name of myself there. And I remember either Dory Funk Jr. was a booker or whatever. And I came in and they put me over all like 2 weeks straight, all these battle royals, all the young ring rats thought I won like 40 grand in 2 weeks. $5,000 battle royal, whatever they were.
Yeah, isn't that something? They used to give you those checks back or those envelopes back in the days.
Right. So
one time Eddie got caught on that. He gave like a $10,000 check to, I think it was Ox Baker or something like that. You remember Oxy? And the IRS came to Ox and said, we want part of that $50,000. We want part of that $50,000. Well, I didn't get no $50,000.
Brother,
well, you got an envelope full of money, and they said there's nothing in that damn envelope except paper.
Exactly. I had all your town. I became so popular. All these girls were all over me, and I'm like, why are they all over this ugly ass Cuban? But they all thought I had a lot of money, or won a bunch of money. But the bottom line is, Hero then took me under his wing, and got me booked to Japan. And he said,
David, wait a minute. You're getting way too fast, man. We got an hour to kill. You're jumping.
Well,
Texas.
I've got a lot of stuff to tell you here.
I know you do, and we can get it all in here. But David, okay, you got in these outlaw groups. From that outlaw group, you went to Texas, right, and joined the real outlaws out there.
Yeah, because
Now, how did you get to Texas? How did you get booked in Texas?
Okay, here's what happened.
Okay, tell us.
I had so much heat.
That's what this show is, a Q&A.
Okay. I had so much heat.
We asked the questions and you give us an answer.
Okay. I had so much heat for wrestling.
You're getting heat for sure.
Back then. And then I was training with Rocky Johnson at the gym, and they'd all go to the body shop gym.
Right.
And Rocky kept promising me he would get me booked in Dallas. And I'd go see little Dwayne. Rock was like little kid, then 6, 7 years old or whatever. And Otto would jump all over him. You keep promising you're going to book in Texas and you're not doing it. You need to do this, And then King Curtis, was, so I had a good crew there I was hanging around with, King Curtis.
Really?
Anyway, so finally, Otta called Gary Hart and then Rocky and King Curtis. And that's what got me into Texas in 1978 and got me, from that point on, I never turned back. You know what I mean?
So you still weren't properly trained. You still just worked in these outlaw shows, right?
No, I worked the Outlaw show for like 2 years, but it wasn't
Okay.
learning that,
Yeah, you ever once a month or something like that, or once every
yeah,
three,
no,
or
once
4 years.
every
Yeah.
Friday, but
Don't get mad.
hi, man, I'm happy. No, yeah,
Well,
every Friday.
why'd you freeze? I asked you a question you couldn't answer.
No, I worked because I was thinking how much I'd work every Friday, like and like I said, I was making 15, 20, 25 bucks, and heck, I thought that was like I was on top of the world, And
And so then you got booked to Texas. Out of that, you got booked to Texas out of the Independence.
I got
Florida?
booked to Texas, like I said, through Rocky Johnson, Ada Maria, and King Curtis.
So you were working Independence. Rocky was working probably for Eddie Graham, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you just met him at the gym and you were training with him.
Yeah, and Lynn Denton, the grappler, was training at the same gym. There was all the boys would go to this body shop gym, and and they all were so nice to me, but they would all warn me. King Curtis told me one time, they're trying to get you to come down to that sportatorium. Don't go down there. They're going to break your arm or dislocate your shoulder or whatever. And so I never went. I mean, boy, they tried hard. So we just want you to go come down and get in the ring with Bob Root for a little while. I said, not today.
So you're a hell of a lot smarter than you looked in, David.
Yeah, heck yeah.
What does that mean?
I was smartened up to it. I probably would have did it if I wasn't so smartened up to it. Don't go. I'm telling you, they want to break your arm.
So you went to Dallas. And how
did Bill? Jerry, wait. What does that mean? He's smarter than he looks.
Well, he's an intelligent. He's an intelligent looking man. So he to be that smart. Wow. I mean, yeah, he's smart. So anyway, you went to Bill Watts. You followed Bill Watts' direction to Texas.
Yeah, I followed Bill Watts' direction,
and you found it.
Can I tell you a little bit more about? Okay, so
please.
The phone call between Ada and all that, and I would go to Rocky and Ada's house, and Dwayne was like 6 years old, and they'd take his toys away. I still have heat to this day when I see Ada. They'd take his toys away because he did something wrong. As soon as they'd go out the room, I'd give them all back to him. So every time I see Ada, she goes, "Remember how you used to give Dewey back his toys when we would take him away?" And I said, "Yeah, But they did help me. Like, I don't want trying to bounce to one thing to another, but they did.
We won't let you. You can try, but we won't let you.
And basically, if it wasn't for her and King Curtis and Rocky, that's how I got my start in Dallas. Anything else you want to ask, or you want me to keep on rolling with the Texas?
Well, the Texas, you were out. Who was you working for? Was you working for Fritz?
Yes, sir. I was working.
Gary Hart was booker. Had you met Gary when he was in Tampa?
No, I met him, but not like he knew nothing.
Because he was in that King Curtis crew.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, we all had the magic cookie.
Yeah. So that's the reason you don't remember how you got to Texas.
Yeah, everybody that licked that cookie went somewhere.
Yeah, went somewhere. The parts unknown.
I might not remember where they went.
It was parts unknown.
Parts unknown.
So you got out there. You got out to Texas. You're working for Fritz. Was that during the time where the boys were really getting hot, or before or after?
Well, it was right when some of the boys I think David and Kevin were just starting, and then Carrie started later on. But I remember we'd wrestle for the Blanchards. We'd do the Sportatorium. We'd do their Dallas, their Sportatorium. Then we'd go to Joe Blanchard for Tuesday, San Antonio, Wednesday, Corpus Christi. Then I'd go to Paul Bosch for Friday. I love Paul Bosch. He was the best payoff man of them all there. If he paid $100, and at most places you work twice, he's the only guy that ever paid me the whole $100 he would have paid for somebody else if I worked twice. But it was hard because we were getting like $40 to drive all the way to San Antonio.
Wow.
And you know,
So how was business in Texas at the time? Later, it got really, really hot. But how was it at that time for the different territories?
It was battling back then. You'd hit or miss here and there, and they had some bad. I remember they flew Mil Mascaras into San Antonio one time, and he drew a heck of a house, and then they wouldn't send him his money. They agreed to give him his money before the show started, and it brought up business from like halfway full. It was sold out, and he said, "And if I don't get my money, I'm leaving." And boy, they brought him his money quick, because
that's when they brought in that flying saucer, John, that Scott Casey saw.
Yeah.
Scott
So
Casey.
Dave, Scott Casey has told us the craziest story, and we're not saying it's not true.
Yeah, we are.
Okay,
I never
yes, we
seen
are.
no flying saucer, and I did a lot of crazy stuff.
Okay, that's what we're gonna ask. He was Mil Mascaras, Tom Jones, Wahoo, and Scott Casey going to San Antonio, and he claims they saw a flying saucer, and they tried to get out and talk with it. Have you ever heard
Flying
this story?
saucer?
Yeah.
They were on some good shit.
Yeah.
Hey, King Curtis is licking King Curtis' cookie. Didn't even get you there.
So you never heard the story?
No, I never heard that story.
We're gonna verify
And
that one of these
I
days.
loved Wahoo. He was great, you know.
Yeah, Wahoo saw a lot of things, by the way.
But yeah, he always treated me first class too, just like you and your brother Jack. God bless, and it's great, you know.
So okay, here we go. We're in Texas. You're making a living there. You're working for Paul. Paul's a great payoff guy. So from there, what, you met Lynn Dent down here in Tampa at the body shop, and Lynn got you out to Oregon, or what?
No, Dan. I was riding a lot with Bronco Lubitsch. Bronco Lubitsch said, "David, my friend George Scott is booking in the Carolinas. Would you like to go to the Carolinas?" And he said, and the guys are making between first and fourth mat between $800 and $1,200 a week. And I said, when do I start there? So I left and gave my notice, left, went there, and George worked there for George Scott a while. And then from there, from George Scott, that's when I went to Portland after that.
And that was through Lynn?
No, when first time I went to Portland, I was here in Florida. I had left, you know, had left George Scott. I'm here in Florida for like a 2-week, get to go home. And I got booked in Portland, and I called Don Owens. Jay Youngblood helped me to that one. And I drove from here to Portland, 3,300.
Wow.
But I worked a show in Dallas on the way there and a show in Amarillo. However, I bounced off to get to Portland. I said, well, might as well make some gas money. But I was in Dallas, and Gary Hart said, Don, you need to call Don Owens. And I said, don't tell me. You know, you need to call. So I called Don, and Don says, do you have a mask? And I said, yeah, I can get one. He said, good. When you get here, you're going to be the destroyer. And I go, Don, I can't be the destroyer. I said, there's already Dick Byers. You know, he goes, Don goes, Jesus Christ, I don't give a shit. This is my territory, and you're going to be the destroyer. So I got there, and I was just the destroyer, and I became part of Playboy Buddy Rose's army at that time, me and Rip Oliver. And great business. Jay Youngblood was there, and we did some heavy stuff. You know how I seen it as a kid and gave them the idea. You know, that you remember when Paul Jones threw the belt off Gandy Bridge?
Right.
Took it from Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember how crazy, and they were trying to come up. They had a new belt. And I'll tell you what, I said, I told Buddy Rose, I said, I seen this done in Florida. So Buddy Rose loved it. So he said, tomorrow we took the belt from Jay Youngblood. The kids are like crying. Like, you know what I mean? The people, they love Jay there in Oregon. And Buddy Rose said, tomorrow I'm going to throw this belt off the highest bridge in Portland. I forget what the name of the bridge is. And we're going to pull up in a limousine. I'm going to throw the bridge. And we were on the way to meet Buddy to get the limo. And I said, Buddy, there's going to be a problem. He goes, what do you mean? I said, we just passed here. We got to drive back. There was already like 500-600 people walking up this interstate part of the bridge. It would be like me going up the Skyway Bridge. They're walking. People are not even supposed to be there. By the time we got there, Jerry, it was packed. And we all got out of the limousine, and it was me, Red Buddy, Frank Bonema, the announcer. And I kept saying, you know, Buddy keeps teasing about throwing the belt, Jay Youngblood and this and that, and this is what happens. And I'm like, Buddy, the people are like starting to, little by little, we're getting like closer, and I'm looking down. I said, man, it's a long drop. And I said, Buddy, throw the belt. And he keeps talking, and we're keep pushing. I said, Buddy, throw the belt now, or I'm out of here. I'm jumping back in the limousine. But he did. He threw the belt. Me and Rip were like, oh my God, he threw that belt. We champed. The people beat the cops, pulled up at that moment, said, what I told the limousine driver, what I need you to do, sir, to the limo driver is you go like 3 blocks down and you make a right on the first street, make a right. And I got to call my sergeant because this is too much for me. I don't even know where to begin. And I said, oh, we're all going to jail now. So, man, that sergeant or whatever came, he was so pissed off. He goes, you know that if one of those dogs those people were walking would have died, or one of y'all would all be this and that. And I was like, oh, man. And Buddy Rose is like, sir, do you like wrestling? He goes, yeah, I love wrestling, Buddy Rose. He goes, I got ringside seat for you and the whole family Saturday. And he did it. He did that, but that deal.
So you guys bribed the Portland Police Department with front row seat tickets.
Buddy Rose did, God bless his soul.
Okay, Buddy Rose. Yeah, Buddy's not here to take any heat there.
Yeah.
So the Portland Police Department is crooked.
Well, I should better shut up. Only in Cuba they're not. Anyway.
They're illegal. You're illegal, Cuban. They can't send you back.
So, but they
you have papers now, David?
Of course I got papers.
Okay, well, I'm just checking.
I want to go to Waterloo next year, so I better have papers.
Yeah.
But,
you better.
Yeah.
It was hard to get it. Well, you're used to the water.
So that's technically a bribe. So the Portland Police Department technically took a bribe.
Yeah, they basically just let, and the deal is Jay Youngblood, back then, he didn't even get his hands on Buddy Rose till after he beat Rip Oliver, beat me, and they were all sellouts at the Portland Store. They held 2,000, 2,500 people, but it drew great business.
Yeah.
And
John, that story that he told where that originally happened, I don't know if it's original because things are hard to be original in our business, but Jack, my brother Jack, and Paul Jones, the original Mr. Wonderful, Paul Jones, they had a hell of a feud going on here in Tampa. He won the Florida Heavyweight Championship from Jack. And Jack came on, of course, babyface, crying about losing. But oh, you love this belt so much. It's just another thing to me. It's just another belt to me. Tell you what I'm going to do is show you just how unimportant this thing is. I'm going to go out to the Gandy Bridge, the bridge that separates Tampa or connects Tampa and St. Pete. Yeah. And I'm going to throw it off at high noon Sunday. Sunday comes around. And there's thousands of people.
Yes,
helicopters just were the thing with the news. All 3 helicopters were circling the bridge. And of course, Eddie had all types of political connections. So Eddie had set it all up with the cops and everything where they could do this without any issues. Unlike David's out in Oregon. And so anyway, they got out there. So Paul took that belt and he tossed it over. People were jumping off that bridge. People were going crazy. It was on every news channel throughout the entire state.
I'm telling you, I remember that.
And it popped. And matter of fact, we did that with Rocky and Stone Cold Steve Austin off of that same suggestion. We threw it all off that damn bridge in Connecticut somewhere. Yeah. You remember that, John, when we threw?
I sure do. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's where that came from, was from that angle there. So that thing spawned. So anyway, they took it out to Oregon, but man, that was the hottest thing that Paul Jones ever did down here. Man, they drew. Paul Jones drew money forever. That story is still talked about sometimes in the news circles down there. It's funny as hell.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I took when I told Buddy Rowe, I said, man, I'm telling you, this was like you just said. I said there was so many people on the bridge, and there was girls crying, and it was like, you know, and it popped the territory. I mean,
hey, Mr. Briscoe, I thought your boy from Vegas was the original Mr. Wonderful.
Oh, that you know, that's an assumption, but you know, he could be. But I think Paul was a couple of years older than my guy in Vegas. So
I'm sorry, I lost his name for a second. What was
the great incomparable Rock Riddle. Have you ever met Rock Riddle?
No.
Well, you'll see Rock out in Vegas coming up real soon.
David, Rock Riddle's the original Mr. Wonderful. I don't know if you knew.
Really, I didn't even know that.
Both of you guys are going to a great event out in Las Vegas, the Cauliflower Alley Reunion Club. It's hosted out there every year by Vegas. Man, they do a wonderful job out there. But John's going to be out there. You're going to be out there. Unfortunately, I'm not being able to make it this year. But you guys have a wonderful time. But what an organization, and our dear friend Brian Blair helped organize that thing every year. So if you haven't made plans to go out there, I hope this thing aired before that. I think it does a day or so before the convention starts. So get out there and see David and John.
You know, and it's great. You know what? And I love that. And I want to go to Waterloo. I just had a friend text me. He said, I got my ticket for Waterloo next year or something. And I said, that's great. I said, I'm going next year too, for sure. Because I've been promising Jerry that
forever, and you've been no-show forever too. So anyway, you throw the belt off the bridge in Portland, Oregon. Copying the great angle down here that Andy
exactly.
With. So you pop Oregon territory. Tell me who were you guys working with? How did that thing go? Were you still the Master Destroyer? Did you go out there with the bridge? Did you go out there on the bridge with your mask on? Because I know you were old school when you had a gimmick like that. You lived the gimmick 24/7.
Yes, sir. Yep. And I went on the bridge like that. And then, like I said, Jay had ripped all of her fur sewed out to Portland, because Buddy said, the only way you can get to me, you got to go through my army. And it was with me and Rip. So he went through Rip, sewed out, went through me, sewed out, got the Buddy, sewed out. Bunch of towns all over started doing great. And then now I can tell you if you want about how I went to do my next character there.
Well, wait a minute before you leave Oregon. I'd like, were you
I'm still in Oregon? I got two more gimmicks.
Okay, well, I want to ask you, were you ever part of Elton John's $5 or $10
shoots? Yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, here's the deal. Elton had a deal where you had a shoot, and the winner would get $15 or 20, and the loser got 10. So if you worked it, you could split it. You know, you could work it anyway, but there was guys that didn't want to work it.
Really? Wow.
Buzz Sawyer. And I said, Buzz, I said, you didn't realize if you work it, we all make $5 more. You know, but Buzz said, well, I ain't nobody going to beat me. I said, yeah, but we're working it, and Elton sometimes say, hey, that was I consider that was like a draw. College, you guys look like college athletes out there, you know. And Elton would sit at ringside. You know, he would sit at ringside for that one shoot, and then as soon as the shoot was over, he'd leave, and all the fans would be wondering why he left. But that's, you know, and so some guys would work and some guys wouldn't. And like Matt Bourne, everybody talks about Matt being crazy. He wasn't. Matt would always work it, man. And Elton, he was a nut over that, man. He was like, it was the damnedest thing to him. I mean, he'd sit there almost like, you know, shit. I thought he was masturbating out there watching it. Yeah, so much he liked it.
Did Elton ever figure out the boys were working it?
Never.
Never.
So that, as far as I know, he never found out.
So explain right quick who Elton was for those that don't know.
Okay, Elton Owens was a promoter for Eugene, Oregon, Medford, Oregon, all those towns further south.
Yeah, Don Owens' brother, right?
Yeah, Don Owens' brother. And the hardest thing about Elton Owens, not only he believed in all these, shoots and all that, but he didn't want to work off nothing his brother was doing on TV. We'd come, Rip, whatever. We'd say, "Hey, Rip." Rip would say, "Hey, Elton, we're going to keep this deal going. We just did it on your brother's TV." And he would go, "I'm not doing that shit. This is my town." Just like Don would talk. He would talk. He was where he's, "Hey, I'm not doing that shit in Eugene. I don't give a fuck what they're doing in Portland." I hope I'm not cussed like that.
Well, you Kate.
He goes, "Give a fuck what my brother's doing in Portland. This is my town, Eugene." And we're like, "Hey, we're trying to convince Elton, yeah, but it's drawing in Portland, so it's going to help you draw in Eugene."
So what match on the card was Elton's shoot?
It could be the first match. It could be the third match. Whoever he decided, if hey, you guys want to, he would come in the dressing room and he'd ask, "Hey, anybody you guys want to shoot tonight? Matt Bourne or Buzz Sawyer or Billy Two Eagles or whatever, they want to shoot." And and somebody would always step up because they figured extra beer money.
So you got extra money for the shoot, and then the boys would work it.
Yeah, extra money for the shoot, and the boys are working. Elton never figured it out. And believe me, I've seen bad things, man. I've seen people stick their cigars up their butt because Elton would lay his cigar right up there, and they'd stick it up their butt, and they'd pull it back out. He'd come back from ring announcing the match or whatever, and he'd get the cigar and sucking it on the cigar, and it was like too much, man. I'd say,
yeah. No wonder you had to pay off the police.
Yeah.
So how long were you in Oregon? So when business got hot, wait a minute, did you ever meet Dick Byers?
No, I met Dick Byers at CAC before he passed away. That's the only time I've ever met Dick Byers.
Did you tell him you sold his gimmick?
Huh?
Did you tell him you sold his gimmick?
I told him. I said, "You know what? Don Owens had me going as a destroyer." And he gave me that look like, well, he shouldn't have did that, but but I said, he told me I was doing it or I wouldn't have a place to work. So then now after that, now I leave town as a destroyer to Buddy Rose. And I come back, to Rip Oliver, and I come back as the Assassin. So I go the same thing.
Did you tell him Jody Hamilton was the
exactly? I told Don Owens. Yeah, I swear to you.
I mean, he didn't want to do what his brother did, but he would do what they were doing 2,000 miles away.
Yeah, I said, Don, I'm a good friends with Jody Hamilton and whatever, and he's the assassin. He goes, same shit. I don't care. This is my territory, and you're going to be the assassin. So, I think I wore like a mask with rings around it and all that, and had a great time as the assassin. Got to feud with Kurt Hennig. God bless his first sell out there was against me, and then he got, and he was playing wrestling buddy and all that, and great times there in the Portland.
Now, Playboy Buddy Rose, he was like the Dusty Road to Portland, Oregon, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean, he was over like nobody's business.
He was over as a heel so big that when he became a baby face, it was like, but and he would always, but I love Buddy, but he was always one of these guys that you knew you had a match with him, and he'd be, "Don't hurt me." He would tell you like 20 times, "Make sure you don't hurt me." And I'd say, "Buddy, why you keep telling me that? Somebody told you I'm stiff or something? Because I ain't gonna hurt you." You know what I mean? We're out there giving each other our bodies. But he was very, he got a lot of people didn't like him for that. When I see there was something on TV about him, about the territory of Portland, and they talked about that, how Buddy, they called him a pussy for being like that. And I said, no, I said, man, he just wanted to make sure he had that top spot. And he didn't want to get, somebody to break his nose, or how they in this business, because they're just trying to get stiff or be stiff. But so can I keep on going, or are you going to cut me off?
Well, no, this is your show.
You see how, Jared, see how bad you are, Mr. Briscoe.
No, because I want to go now. Buddy Rose beats me, and I lose a loser leave town as the assassin. I'm going to Japan for 5 weeks, and Don Owens already was, what are you going to come back as? Because you're coming back here. And I said, Don, don't worry, I got it all figured out. And I said, and it ain't nobody else's deal. I said, yeah, it is. It's Tom Cruise's deal, because the movie Top Gun had just come out. And I said, I had this deal, Top Gun on the side, Top Gun mask, and I did pay.
Did you ask for permission to do that one?
Huh?
Did you ask Tom Cruise for permission to do that?
No,
one?
That's what I mean. But I never got into that, because that got over. I said, I never thought it would get over the way it did, because the
you were what, like a pilot or what?
Huh?
You were like a pilot?
No, I wore like a mask with a screen on it. It had TG on the side and Top Gun on the deal, and I would play the Top Gun music. I had a t-shirt and like a tuxedo on the back that said Top Gun, and it just played the music, and the people would go nuts. And I was like, wow, did this get over? It was easy, you know what I mean? But I never, it was one of those where I never had to. I didn't ask Don. He just wanted to know, well, what's your plans on what you're coming back as, because you are coming back here. Because Don was really good to me. He liked me, and he was always a man of his word, and he always wanted,
I always heard that he was a great payoff guy, great territory,
yes,
and a great guy to work for.
Yeah, and
did the fans never realize you were the same person?
A lot of people would say, we know Buddy Rose did it. He would say, everybody, you know that Top Gun is really the assassin that always loses a pound. And I'll tell you one thing else that I did on this. Before, I one time had it wasn't on TV. I said, next week it's not going to be on TV, but I want Buddy Rose to see my face as I beat on him. I'm taking my mask off and putting it on the side of the ring just for that match. And I did it so then everybody knew that it was, Buddy Rose. I told you that's the assassin, but it was just built into a storyline, and I put the mask right back on, and he had all this deal, everybody, whoever could take his mask off and keep it off, and we could prove it's the assassin, he's got to leave because he lost a loser leave town. And it was easy. It was really a easy territory. And I enjoyed working there for all the years. And by then, I went through different bookers there.
Do you have any stories, because Buddy Rose and Matt Bourne, I mean, they're legendary figures in our business, and crazy guys outside the ring. Do you have any of those crazy stories either about Matt or Buddy?
Well, I can tell you, Buddy married Matt's sister.
Wow.
And Matt didn't know it.
Matt didn't know it.
They went to Hawaii for a honeymoon, filmed all this stuff, and there's a little vignette which was never done back then, but Buddy got it done through he filmed it, and here's his wife, Matt's sister, rubbing suntan lotion, and Matt Bourne already knows now that, boy, he was waiting for Buddy to get back. So he don't know this was like a shoot angle started off. Buddy was doing the interview up there, introducing his wife, Tony Bourne's daughter, who Tony wasn't too happy about it either.
Uh-huh.
And brother
tough Tony Bourne. Hey, did you ever have the opportunity of working with Tony?
Yes, sir.
Wow. What? Tell us a little bit about him. He's a guy I have many stories about.
No, Tony Bourne was stiff. He was,
I heard that.
I say, man, tough Tony's, and he'd say, when you can't take a kid or whatever, and I'd say, phew. I said, oh, you money, or what did I do wrong? Why are you hitting me so hard? But Tough Tony was a character in himself too. But he was a good-hearted guy if he liked you. If he didn't like you, he'd come and dress you sometimes, and he'd look at some of those guys that just he could feel like he felt like they didn't respect, or maybe they didn't belong there at that time. And I felt bad for them. He'd chew them out or just scream at them, and I'd look at it and I'd go, "Am I glad he likes me?" Even though he's punching the hell out of me when we ever match. But and now in that interview, here's Buddy Rose with Matt Bourne's sister doing the interview. Matt Bourne comes up there and he went clocking. Buddy didn't have no idea. Then they turned it into an angle. But
did he not know that he was dating his sister or about to marry her or anything?
No, I think it was all behind the back type of deal.
So when he sees the video of his sister getting married, that's the first time he knew about it?
No, he sees he heard about it, already knows that he's married, but he wasn't really, I don't think he was working at territory, he was in town. And that's how the deal, Buddy's doing the interview. That's why, and it was a shoot. He came up and started beating the hell out of Buddy Rose, and just it was crazy. And then they turned it into an angle, which it was Buddy Rose's nightmare, because I think he ended up married to her for about 2 months or 3 months. And then, but man, they were feuding all over the place, and Matt was, kind of stiff in a way.
Kinda, yeah.
The Buddy who didn't like to get hit stiff was getting hit stiff every match.
So they only stayed married a couple months?
Yeah, 2 to 3 months, I think I heard.
What happened?
I don't know.
The business.
The business, yeah, the business. And
was she in the business?
Huh?
Was she in the business?
No. And I know that one of the parts Matt Bourne beat up Buddy Rose is because he had videoed him and her having sex. I'll only saying this because Matt Bourne ain't around to beat my ass. But,
so how did Matt Bourne find out about it?
Because Buddy Rose got this nice VHS tape. He puts it in, and it's me, Rip, and we're watching this on this little screen, and we're like, Buddy, you need to shut that off because Matt's gonna kill you. You know what I mean? And
so he was showing the boys his sex tape.
Yeah, Matt found out. Matt found out somehow.
I don't know why they only stayed married 2 months.
Yeah, I don't either.
And plus, Tony Bourne didn't like they were married either.
Was that the end of your time in Oregon after that?
Yeah, but in that, like Lenny became the booker, because I went through Buddy Rose was the booker. Then Buddy went to New York. Rip Oliver became like the booker. And then Rip went to New York for a little bit, and I was supposed to get that spot. But at the same time, Bob Geigo and Don Owens were very good friends. And Bob Geigo said, I'm just giving my booker his notice, which is Lenny. And, would you like to have him there? And Lenny got the spot, which was cool. Lenny, because me and Lenny always got along, and he knew I had a good spot there, and he just pushed it. And all the boys, Alma, Drew, all of them were so mad because at one point, Lenny had given me all the belts. I was the Northwest champion, the TV champion, and the tag champion without a partner.
Without a partner.
I forget who the partner was. It might have been Mr. Ebony or whatever. And he left.
Now, those must have been hard matches being out there by yourself.
Yeah, right, in the tag match. they finally, but yeah, Al Madrid would get so hot about that. Al Madrid said, man, and then I would really drive like Al Madrid and them crazy because Don, I'd always, you had to go to Don's office to get paid. And Lenny would just shake his head at me. And Al Madrid, they'd all come in to get paid, but I'd be behind Don's desk next to Don. But I always did this to Don. He'd be paying me. And when he'd stop, I'd say, is that it? He goes, you son of a bitch, and give me a little bit more. So I used to tell the boys, I said, whatever you do, because I seen guys come in and Don would be paying them. And all of a sudden they have a little grin in their face and he stopped. I said, man, you cannot act happy while you do not smile. Your payday's stopping when you smile.
I always heard that story. Don't smile when you're getting paid by.
So I always said that.
Yeah.
Lynn Denton would always say, I drove down so crazy that one day and Don got mad as hell at me. He said, let me tell you something. If the grass is greener on the other side of the hill, you think you can make more money somewhere else, then get your ass going. Cool. I'm not.
How many talents would consist of the roster there at Oregon? Was it a big roster?
It was like, I want to say there was 12 of us.
Oh, wow.
And you had Luke Brown who would referee some towns, but what he did, he would split it up. So one of the baby faces would wrestle, and then that one baby face would then be referee the rest of the matches with Luke Brown. And that's why it was, me and Kurt sold out. I got $1,000 payday and $25 for the gimmick extra. Because they paid $25 extra for that. So
that's wild. Back in those days, they did pay extra for color.
I'd go to the Bone, and then then Dutch Savage was like running.
So between the color and the shoot money, you were racking in some dollars and some bonus money.
I tell you what, I'd go to the Bone, and then I'd travel those towns, and I'd get busted open, and Don Owens go. Because the $25, he added up one time. I had 5 towns in a row that I covered. He was mad, and that's because there's an extra 125.
That's an extra town.
Yeah. So but
so after Lynn leaves, you're the booker of Oregon now, right?
Lynn is the booker.
No, after Lynn leaves, you become booker.
No, Lenny stayed there all the way till they closed.
Okay.
Okay, so he killed it.
That's what I always tell him. Don's team.
We had Lenny on the show, and he said you killed it.
Yeah, I bet he did. No, he did. Here's what happened: is how Vince bought everybody's TVs. So he got Don's TV was like one of the last ones that he didn't get, and when he did get it, then Portland Wrestling just went, and so I always tell Lenny though that because
was you there during that when that time?
No, happened? I don't know where I was. I was somewhere else, but I felt bad for Don Owens because but Don he had to fold it up. He couldn't do it no more.
So you left. Did you come back to Florida after you left Oregon, or when did you run into that story that you're going to share about Jack and I?
That was in Florida.
Uh-huh.
Jacksonville, Florida. You want me to tell you how many beers we drank on that trip?
No.
Yes. Yes.
Woo. I said,
so were you riding with them?
I said, I ain't never
riding with the Briscoes?
Yeah, I'm riding with the Briscoes. I'm a baby face. They're trying to give me some kind of push. And we got a 6-man tag. I don't remember guess who, but I just know we had a few beers. But
wait a minute. On the way to the town, you had a few beers.
Yeah, I'm throwing Jerry under the bus. Yeah, we sure did.
I don't remember that. I don't recall that.
Yeah.
How many is a few?
At least 12.
Among 3 people.
Yeah. Okay, Jerry, we'll go there. I am burying the Indian. Stop it. So, but we're in this match, and Jack or Jerry sold or whatever, and they give me the comeback.
It had to be me if there's selling involved.
Yeah. So they give me the comeback. I come in, and it was the shittiest comeback in the world. And I just said, damn, what? Wonder why I just didn't have that fire like I should have. And so we get back to the dressing room, and there's Jack and Jerry waiting for me. And I'm like, oh, Lord. And they both start chewing me out. Sierra, you realize we just gave you the, and I popped like a little bit of a grin on my face. And Jerry and Jack both said, we're not laughing at all. This is our livelihood. And I said, no, I understand that. I was really, I didn't mean it like the way, but I knew, that they were trying to teach me that, you need to take this. You're getting an opportunity here that nobody else is giving you right now here in Florida. And I respected Jack and Jerry for that. And I never forgot that. That's why I tell Jerry that all the time when I see him. Remember when you and Jack chewed my ass out in Jacksonville? Thought y'all were going to stretch me.
Maybe if they hadn't got you drunk on the way to the town, it might have been a little better.
That might have been what killed my comeback, right?
Yeah.
Damn rookies, man. They don't know any better.
People find it hard to believe that the boys used to drink on the way to the town.
Yeah.
And the Briscoes drank like whenever they were awake.
Hey, I was in the Mid-Atlantic, and the people I was riding with, it was a rule that every 50 miles you had to light a joint. And I'm like, okay, we're going to Charleston from Charlotte. That's like 4 joints. And then, then the same thing back. And I'm like, man, I'd get there to Charleston. Nowadays, if I did that, I'd be like, took a hit of an Indian's pin one time, and then he almost at a Legends luncheon, and I couldn't hardly talk when I went up there to say something. Can't tell you what Indian did that to me.
It had to be the Sheik.
So who are you riding with?
I got
who are you riding with in Mid-Atlantic?
Huh?
Who are you riding with in Mid-Atlantic?
Charlie Fulton and God, I want to say Don Cornuto. It was so many different.
It sounds like something Fulton and Cornuto would do.
Yeah. Not Bobby Fulton. It was the other Fulton. I can't.
Charlie, you got
Charlie
right.
Fulton. Yeah. Man, he loved them. It's very generic, like hit a speed. I'd see him take that and a cup of coffee, and he'd be driving and talking away, and I'd be like, bro, can I try that? Man, I tried that with a cup of coffee, and I was like this, jittering, and I'm like, oh my God, forget that.
What was you chasing the coffee with?
Some type of generic speed they had back then. And I was like, oh my gosh.
So what did the native give you at the Legends luncheon?
You're trying to give me the stews on what native you're talking about, sir?
I know which native you're talking about.
It was a Sheik, man.
Joe Gomez, is he a native?
Yeah, Joe Gomez.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay.
We'll blame it on him, brother. I went, and then I said, man, he said, you got to, that Indian told me, you got to press the deal harder and suck it in. And I went, and I coughed. No smoke came out, but I coughed like crazy. Then I was going up to say something about somebody that was getting their deal, the Legends luncheon honorary. And I went up there, and I probably was meaning to say about 100 words, and I didn't even get 5 out and said, okay. And I'm so glad for him, and I left. I went back and sat down with my friends.
So describe to me the Briscoes car.
The Briscoes car?
Yeah, you rode with the Briscoes, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think what kind of car they had back then.
Well, what was all involved as far as what was going on in the car, the way there, the way back? Because the Briscoes car is legendary.
Well, that car, they could pull some ribs on you if they wanted to. I guess I was lucky. I only got ribbed like with beer and stuff. But I guess they got Brian Blair good or something. Right?
Yeah, we used them on old Blair.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because y'all had mercy on me.
Yeah.
So from Florida, is that where you end up going down to Puerto Rico?
Well, yeah, and 1985, I think, was the first time I went to Puerto Rico. And I lasted for a while there. I was teaming with some Mongolian guy. He was really Mexican, but he was a Mongolian gimmick. And we were working Al Perez and jumping Joe Savoti's young son. And they were doing some rocker gimmick. And the first TV, Luke Williams is the booker. And first TV, we go out there, attack him, get their radio, bust them over the heads with it, stomp the radio pieces, and it was great. Almost started a riot. But then Stan Hansen came in, and Stan Hansen, I didn't last long there because Stan Hansen goes to me, goes, well, I go to Japan all the time, and I got this opportunity to go to Australia, Sierra, and he, Stan rode with me, or he said, would you like to go to Australia? He said, you're going to get $2,000 a week. They're going to pay for your food, hotel. I said, heck yeah, that sounds good. $2,000 a week. And I did get there and stayed there like 11 weeks. And
was that for the Fullers or was Barnett still there?
No, that wasn't for, it was Jerry. It was some guy who got out. And then
Ron Miller, was he Ron Miller, one of the talent?
No.
It was after Ron even.
Yeah, because we had heat with all of them for doing this. But Jay Youngblood was there, and that's where Jay, God bless, passed away. I was right there too when that happened. Sad story there, but Jay and Mark were there.
How did Jay pass away?
Huh?
What happened to Jay? You were there when he passed away?
Yeah, we were on the way to a meeting at the office, and he kept saying his side was hurting real bad. Now, he was staying in a room next to me, and we must have killed a half a bottle of Jack Daniels, so that might be by his side. But by the time we got to the office, he was like almost spent. And I said, Jay, you need to go to the hospital. It might be your appendix is getting ready to burst or something. So he went to the hospital and he never got out.
What had happened?
Jay, he had like a pancreatitis, something. And the only reason I got to see Jay, he was like in a coma at this time. And I got to see Jay because they thought I was one of their brothers. So the doctor came, this is before Jay, I was trying to talk to him and I didn't know if he could hear me or not. And I told the doctor came and said, listen, your brother's, he's bleeding a little bit in the insides. You need to tell your other brother. So I called Mark. I said, Mark, you might need to, I just want you to know that the doctor said Jay's bleeding a little bit inside. I hung up the phone. As soon as I hung up the phone, the doctor or one of the nurses guy, they said, you're upstairs visiting your brother? I said, yeah. He said, well, as soon as you walked out, he passed away.
Oh.
And I said, what? I said, I said, you trying to tell me he's dead? He said, yeah. I said, no way. He said, yes, sir. So I called Mark and said, Mark, you need to get to the hospital. Jay just passed away. And I had to tell, how can I tell him, I couldn't have him waiting. I just told him one thing and now. So I went up and I swear to you, I held Jay crying like a baby. It's so it was for at least 30 minutes before Mark got there. And it was just so sad. And so, because Jay helped me out a lot, and and we all got along. And when you're got the group of guys that you all, you love everybody in the business, or you try to, but you got the ones that stick together, and they're not going to backstab you, or you hope. No, but he, God bless, he did. Yeah, he passed away. And
Jay was a wonderful young man. He
yes,
really
sir.
was.
Because you and way before you and Jack were working him in Steamboat and
In Carolina there.
Yeah.
Great. To me, Jay was one of those unsung heroes that man, he was better than what the people gave him credit for. He as great as Ricky Steamboat was, and I've told Ricky this, I felt like there were many, many nights when Jay carried that tag team in very many parts of the country there. He was so good. It had so much fire. That entire Romero family is just a wonderful family.
Yeah, all of them. God bless Chris. They were all, to me, they all,
So Australia, you leave Australia. What happens then, Cuban?
Australia, I end up back, I think, in Puerto Rico. And, I had a good, with Carlos, I got along great. I didn't get along with Jovica, but I got
Did you book for Carlos down there a little bit, or what?
No, with the closest we did is me, Ricky. Came back, whenever I came back, and then we were helping Carlos. We'd sit down and have like a booking committee, I called it, and Carlos I would always know when I could tell when Carlos would like something. So Ricky, I think I'd get a little bit of heat with Ricky. Ricky would suggest something, and I could tell by Carlos looking. I say, "Yeah, Ricky, but I think Carlos, because Carlos territory." I said, "Carlos is what I see what he's saying too," and I wasn't trying to, but Carlos always treated me good. I hated Jovica because every time he'd give you half your money on Saturday and tell you come by the office on Tuesday, and then he'd give you a couple $100 more, and then he'd say, "I'll pay you on Friday," and and I had a few little stupid battles there with stupid Invader, and how he didn't kill my ass, Yeah, he was. I did an angle with him with my wife was managing me, and he did we had to do like a fight, me and Invader, and he hit my wife, and he hit, I went to hit, and I moved, and he hit her by accident to build up the storyline better. But he didn't feel like that was enough to pull us apart. And she was sitting there. Next thing I know, he comes in the heel dresser. He's got her by the hair, pulling her. And I just start punching him. And then I got him like in the front face lock. And somewhere this is all on film. Carlos comes out. Ricky comes out. And Carlos is saying, "Please." Carlos said, you can see Carlos and Ricky going, "Let him go, please." And, it was just stupid how something bad didn't happen to me there after what had happened with Brody and all that. It was just, it ended up where he asked me at the office, and Vader goes, "You weren't really mad at me." I said, "Oh, no, I got a bag. I brought a baggie to Carlos. You think this shit's necessary full of my wife's hair?" I said, and Carlos was like, and then Vader asked me, "So you weren't really mad at me, because he could tell I was being snug on my punches. I was trying to knock him out." But it's a crazy stories there, man.
You were there before Brody got killed, and after Brody.
And then I was in Japan when Brody got killed.
You was in Japan when that happened. Did you notice how different was the territory after Brody got killed down there? I mean, I know a lot of talent wouldn't work for a Carlos.
That not only that, but I'll tell you what, and Carlos used to say it, that what happened there killed my, for years and years. And the only thing, and I'm not trying to bury nobody, like Stan, I know came back once, but but then he never came back. I could tell that it bothered him too much. And even Terry Funk came back once, but he said he never had. But I respect Terry, so, but he got out of it, But I got, the territory, that killed that territory. And to this day, that territory's never been the same. I mean, I did 18,000 people with Invader at Bayamon, but hard punch match, and then the whole card was loaded. Carlos was wrestling, Abdullah, whatever. It was a loaded card, and that was like one of the best houses they had in I don't know how many years. But I never looked at Invader the same after all that. I was stuck working with him, and one time he tried to tell me, I don't care, because what's he gonna do to me? One time he calls me, I'm walking by, he goes, Fidel, come here. And then he goes, a lot of people don't understand what really happened between me and Brody. I said, whoa. I said, I call him Pepe, I said, Pepe, I said, I didn't ask you nothing about that. And I don't want to know nothing about that. You know what? And I turned around, I said, we're doing our deal, but that I got a bad taste about that. Brody was a very good friend of mine, and I think he could tell that it really bothered me, because Brody, I always tell Barbara this, Brody used to come to Atlanta, and he would stay with me at the Falcons Rest. I said, why go pay for a hotel, you could just stay with me. And in other places he was here in Tampa for a few shows, but I always got along so good with him, and that really, it hurt me. And a lot of, you see so many things in our business, but when I seen that stupid dark side of the ring, I said, oh my God, that's not how, Jovica, Carlos, and all them did not sit in a meeting and say, this is how we're going to do this. I don't believe that. You know what I mean? I don't know. Some people say there was a big money dispute there, that Brody owned a certain part, and some people, you hear so many different stories. I just always say, you know what? I just don't remember Brody, as he was always good to me.
Amen. I do
that's
too.
What it means,
David,
I love Barbara so much.
Yeah, wonderful lady, Barbara. Yes. Oh, you've had a career that a lot of people dream about. Here's just a kid that swam, a 1-year-old kid that swam 90.3 miles from Havana to Key West and made it. And then you survived all that. Then you survived the Briscoe car. Then you survived Texas, working all 3 territories out there in Texas.
Yeah.
And you survived Elton Owen's shoot matches out in Oregon there. So what a career you've had, man! You and I have become wonderful friends throughout the years. We always were, right from the very first. Even though you lied to me a few times about Alfonso, and so, but I'll forgive you on that.
A few times,
because if Alfonso's mouth is moving, you just about bet that it's a long story, a tall tale. But David, I appreciate your time today, man. We've had some laughs on this show.
Great,
thank you so much for your time, man.
Yeah, and I want to say one more thing, just to John.
To John, yeah.
No, to both of you, but I talked to Bart a few times in the last month, and it seems like he's feeling a little more. I don't know. He told me that things came along a little bit better now.
Yeah. They got the big fundraiser. This I don't know when this show is going to air, but August 12th is the fundraiser. By the time the show airs, it'll be. Yeah. I think the show airs next Thursday.
Yeah.
Fundraiser this weekend in East Texas. A ton of guys are coming in.
He's
I think
so
Scott Casey's flying the UFO in. And,
but there's Bart is the best guy. He's out being him. We're in Mid-Atlantic, and we always got along so good. And
Yeah, and I want to say, they didn't give him much chance. I mean, he didn't have much chance. That stage 4 cancer, and apparently he's kicking out. I mean, it's remarkable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I think, he's very strong with the man upstairs, and I think,
And a big shout out to a couple people. For one, a lot of people really helped out Bart. They sent him money
Yes,
on
sir.
GoFundMe, and they helped him out, all kinds of different stuff. But also a big shout out to Brian Blair.
Yeah, he told me that too. He said, man, you wouldn't believe how much CAC is helping me.
And Medusa and the CAC, they really stepped up and helped Bart. I mean, the CAC is such a wonderful organization for helping guys out like Bart that have medical expenses. He had insurance, but still, it cost him a fortune to take
yes, sir.
chemo. And he couldn't work because he's so sick from taking chemo.
Yeah.
So.
But when you talk to him, it's like, man, there's nothing wrong. He just got that fire about,
So that both you guys are going to be there. John, you want to, I know it's a week after, but you can still go to the GoFundMe page after this little reunion, but it's a reunion. All Bart's friends. You know who all is going to be, how many guys are going to be there, where it's going to be.
Every one of them looked like I had a cowboy hat on.
Well,
it's all the old Texas guys. So Sam Houston,
so where is it going to be?
It's going to be in Gilmer, Texas, in East Texas. I don't know why it's there. It's from where I am. It's only about an hour and a half, so that's great for me. But you got.
I'll tell you what I did, and then I know I'm over timing it now. But I sent him money instead of, because you go through GoFundMe and they get a percentage of that. So I said, Bart, I'd rather, and then he talking to my wife, and we Zelled him some money, because I'd rather, you know what I mean? I don't know how much GoFundMe gets at all that, but I always heard they get a good little chunk,
But still contribute if that's the only way you got.
Yeah, it's only a few percentage, like 2 or 3%. So it's not a big percentage.
Okay, well that's good.
I think you have the option on GoFundMe to give more to GoFundMe to the platform if you choose to, but if not, it's just kind of whatever the credit card fees would be would be taken out of the GoFundMe. It's not very much, because I went through that with Bart. I can't remember if his daughter or somebody or his granddaughter set it up for him, and I went through it with her, and it's not very much.
Yeah. All right, so
but he's a good dude. He's
very good.
Such a good guy. He'd sit there, David. You sit there, push his glasses up while he's spitting in the trash can.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. And he'd sit there and talk that big chew in his mouth.
If I wasn't over on us, I'd tell you a Japan story with him.
Well, tell us the Japan story. We'll make time.
Yeah, you can tell us.
And God bless Buzz Sawyer. But we were all in this little town from Tokyo, maybe 3-4 hours away or whatever. And we were playing cards, and all of a sudden, Buzz and Brett Sawyer were like, they wanted to beat him up. And I looked at him and I said, Bart, that ain't happening. Bart looked at me, and I swear to you, I went straight to my room, was right there with the door open. I got my blade and I put it right by my side and had it already open. I said, and Bart could see, I said, bro, if they try to jump on you, because I know Brett can't beat me, but Buzz probably beat us all up. But I said, that ain't going to happen. There's going to be some stroking going on here. And thank God, it never did happen. And we all just had a little bit of a beer buzz, and I don't even know what they were mad about, but I said, there ain't no way. And Bart, to this day, he never forgets. Hey, see, you remember? I said, yeah, Bart. I said, no way nobody was going to beat you up, because we had been so many trips together, and just how good he is. I said,
Bart told me one time, you'll love this. Bart told me one time, he goes, you greenhorn, he goes, I'm gonna find a patch of green grass and I'm gonna teach you a lesson. And I said, Bart, me beating you up ain't gonna teach me nothing. And when I said that, he got up and started to come out. Akbar had to stop him. He wanted to be. He had his brand in there. He was so mad.
Oh, he could get mad. He got mad at me, Barbarian, and Ricky Santana. We're all playing cards in Norfolk, Virginia. And he goes, "Dadgummit, Bonnie," and this is when he was Bonnie, God bless. He goes, "Bonnie, you'll kill me if I lose these silver dollars." I said, "Barbara, don't play them. You're gonna lose them." And sure enough, he lost them, and he's mad as heck. I don't know. I think Barbara got him, or
he told me so many times, "I'm gonna find me a patch of green grass and I'm gonna teach you a lesson, boy."
I wish he would have
loved it.
found it. I wish he would have found the damn green grass, man.
I'm so glad he didn't. And that day I said that to him. I'm so glad Akbar's the one that stopped him. I said, "Bart, I'm kidding. I'm kidding."
oh, Akbar was a great guy too, man.
Yeah, Ak would torture Bart. So would Dick Murdoch. They just loved it because
Oh, Dickie
Bart
too.
would get so mad at those guys. Dickie, I love you, but we're gonna fight.
Yeah. See, I had some great stories with Dickie too. He just always he was the booker for Carlos when I first went into Puerto Rico, or one of the times I went in. And man, we'd be on a trip and he would go, Carlos Colon's a black guy, And I say, "No, he's not. He's a Puerto Rican." He goes, he'd take mine me with a fiddle. "How does Carlos Colon look?" I said, "I don't, he's like a Puerto Rican." He goes, "He ain't Puerto Rican, you dumb." Oh, Dick, he would get so mad at me. And boy, could he drink some beer. He could outdrink the Briscoes in beer.
I'll challenge that, but poor old Dickie ain't around.
Oh, God bless. But anyway, God bless all those ones that ain't here with us anymore.
Amen.
And I'm trying to get as many wrestling conventions as I can in while I still can, and I'm trying to plug myself now, Jerry.
Well, David, it's been great having you on, man. Thank you so much for your time today. I know, are you still running the bar over in Indian Rocks Beach or what?
No, I don't do none of that anymore. I mean, I was at one point bouncing one place, and you'd have to walk up and down the beach, and it didn't pay bad, but I said they didn't want you to go in the shade.
Oh,
so you'd have to walk back and forth, and then I'd have all these young kids wanting to fight, and I'd be like, "Oh, man, how did I get into this job?" And then I went to a casino boat, and that was good. I was like a head of security for the casino boat, went out 9 miles, and it paid like $35 an hour to start off with. But after about 3 months, they figured out, we can pay these guys $20 an hour. But
all right, brother. Well, stay dry. It's getting ready to rain over there.
All right. Well, I love you guys. I appreciate that I got to be on here.
Finally.
Thanks, David.
Thank you very much. And you guys have a blessed day.